Welcome to Alphabet City. I'm your guide, Ayaz Akhtar, and you are the pizza-loving audience. Holy mackerel, we're finally getting a Google Watch. Google is buying Fitbit for $2.1 billion. The deal sees Google paying $7.35 in cash per share for the acquisition. The whole thing should close in 2020. A report by The Information says that Facebook was in talks to buy Fitbit for around $1 billion, but Google won out. Wow, that would have been dark. Facebook, Fitbit. Ugh. In the blog post announcing the deal, head of Google Hardware, Rick Osterloh, says the company sees an opportunity to introduce made by Google wearable devices into the market. Keep in mind that Google is the company buying Fitbit, it's not Alphabet. That's a smart move. Instead of having Fitbit outside of Google under Alphabet, you've got Fitbit within Google. It looks like Alphabet has learned from the Nest experiment. Nest went from a Google-owned company to an independent company under Alphabet and then back under Google after that. Let's talk about Fitbit. During its IPO back in 2015, Fitbit was worth $4.1 billion. Fitbit purchased smartwatch maker Pebble in 2016 for under $40 million, but no hardware was picked up. Here is Fitbit's current lineup. There's the Inspire, the Charge 3, Ace 2, Ionic, the Versa Lite, and the Versa 2. That Fitbit Versa 2 is the highest-end Fitbit smartwatch, which also has Alexa on it. You can bet that's getting the boot when Google takes over. Fitbit smartwatches use their own operating system called Fitbit OS, which has its own apps. There's Strava, Starbucks, Pandora, Weather, Flipboard, Yelp, Hue Lights, and the New York Times. There's also Fitbit Health apps, of course. Fitbit OS will likely be phased out for Wear OS. Google already has Google Fit as a brand, so Fitbit should fit in just fine. Let's look at Google's hardware acquisitions. The company bought Motorola, then sold off Motorola Mobility to Lenovo. The Moto Home business went to Aris. We've already talked about the whole Nest deal. Also, Google picked up parts of HTC's phone business, which brought us the latest Pixels. So, Google's hardware business is respectable. Adding in Fitbit should be very interesting. Fitbit already has brand recognition, but was struggling in the smartwatch sector. According to Strategy Analytics, in the second quarter of 2019, 12 million smartwatches were shipped. Apple has 46.4% of the market. Samsung is the number 2 player with 15.9%. Fitbit fell to third with 9.8%. Keep in mind that Samsung watches do not run Wear OS. Looking at all wrist-worn wearables, which includes watches as well as fitness trackers, IDC reports that Fitbit was 4th worldwide in the second quarter of the year. Xiaomi, Apple, and Huawei took the top 3 spots. Samsung was number 5. So Fitbit's position in the market is not that great. That also explains why the company would entertain the idea of being acquired. What can Google bring to the table to make Fitbit bigger than it already is? Google does make some decent hardware products, but its magic is usually the software. CNET Scott Stein thinks that Google could help Fitbit devices get smarter thanks to Google's AI. He also thinks Google can help Fitbit get FDA clearance on sleep and heart rate measurements. That should make the hardware more competitive with the Apple Watch. Can Google use Fitbit's OS to make Wear OS better? Or perhaps Fitbit's designers and engineers can help Google figure out wearables. Either way, Google's approach to wearables is fundamentally changed now that it is a maker of wearables. It's one thing to provide the software to others. It's a whole other world when you're making the hardware it runs on. A Google acquisition also immediately brings up privacy concerns. Again, it's one thing if Fitbit has your health data, it's another if Google has it. Fitbit has over 28 million active users. Its app has lots of community features. There's a lot of data for Google to pick up. In the blog post, Osterloh addresses the privacy concerns. He says, quote, "Privacy and security are paramount. We will be transparent about the data we collect and why. Fitbit health and wellness data will not be used for Google ads, and we will give Fitbit users the choice to review, move, or delete their data." Well, let's all cross our fingers and hope we actually get a great Wear OS watch, because that has never happened before. Let's go to Comment Cove. This is the part of the show where we shine a spotlight at the most amazing audience in the world, you. Last time I ranted about how the Pixel 4 was a disaster. RM says, Google's plan to sell more Pixel 3s? Introduce the Pixel 4. Rally says, I'm still using my Nexus 6 and 6P. Every year, Google messes up these phones. Brian M says, why the surprise? Every Pixel has been a disaster. Christopher says, thank you for being honest. You know, we got over 1,300 comments. Thanks to everyone for writing in. If you've enjoyed your stay in Alphabet City, please like and subscribe. I'm Ayaz Akhtar, and I'll see you online.